In this video, I'm going to be telling you guys how I went from controller on a PS4 to keyboard and mouse on a PC. I'm going to explain why I switched and give some tips on what you guys should do if you decide to switch. With that being said, let's get started. So I'm going to start off by saying the reason I switched to keyboard and mouse was because I didn't feel like I was improving on controller. It was just getting boring because I was already pretty decent on controller. I didn't feel like I was improving, so I switched. And I'm gonna go ahead and say, just because you switch to keyboard and mouse, you're not instantly gonna be better at the game. If anything, you're definitely gonna be worse for a bit of time. But it's all about finding the right keyboard, or not the right keybinds, and just practice. Like, practice really helps. So, like, I would do a lot of aim training, piece control, and edit courses. But, like, you're not going to get on keyboard and mouse and just be as good as Peterbot or be as good as Clicks. And one thing I hear about a lot is people getting on keyboard and mouse and copying down their favorite pros' keybinds. That's not going to make you better. Because just because they're good on those settings does not mean you're going to be good. If anything, you're definitely going to be worse. Unless you've practiced on their keybinds before. But anyway, so one thing I would recommend is using a mouse with side buttons. It's just a lot easier for keybinds, because if you have all your keybinds on your keyboard, it's definitely doable, but it's just going to be cluttered, and it's probably going to lead to a lot of misclicks. So that's one thing. My keybinds that I use, people may say they're weird or whatever, but I have my wall and my ramp mapped to my mouse side buttons, and then I use Q to edit, E to pick up stuff, R to reload. I use tab as a trap, and then I use alt as my inventory. I use C for a floor and V for a cone, and then WASD movement. F is my pickaxe. The reason I use these keybinds is because, like I said, when I first switched, I took time and practiced on a bunch of different keybinds till I found the ones that were right for me. But no, when I first switched, I was horrible. And one really good piece of advice that everybody's gonna tell you that plays on keyboard and mouse, if they used to play on controller, it's do not switch back and forth between keyboard and controller just because you don't think you're doing that good. Because if you do that, all the work that you did on keyboard and mouse, say you practice keyboard and mouse for a week and then switch to controller that next day, all that keyboard and mouse work is just gonna go out the drain. Now, if you've played on keyboard and mouse for a really long time, switching to controller for a little bit won't hurt. You'll be fine. Another thing, just do a lot of practice and find the keybinds that are right for you. That's what I had to do. The reason I think you guys should switch, though, if you're able to switch and if you're up to it, you should switch because, if you don't feel like you're getting any better, that would be a reason. But also, it could be a fun challenge for you to do to maybe get better. And the reason that it can make you better than when you play on controller is because there's more keybinds to use. So you can try out different keybinds, and once you get good on keyboard and mouse, if you do switch, I encourage you to try different keybinds. Like, don't just pick one set of keybinds and use them forever. I encourage you to switch. And one way that I got a lot better at Fortnite on keyboard and mouse too is I did a lot of box fights. A lot of box fights. Because building and editing might seem a lot easier on keyboard and mouse. It probably is. But aiming is the tricky part. Like, my aim is still not that good on keyboard and mouse. Which is why I've been practicing a lot. Which is why I always complain about my aim in videos. But yeah, that's another thing. Another thing is, keep your, like, whenever you do your keybinds, if you use WASD movement, like most people do, keep your keybinds around WASD. I don't know if y'all caught that whenever I was telling my keybinds, but I do that. And also, really big key is having really good sensitivity, like having the perfect sensitivity for you and the mouse pad, because just a little bit, if your sensitivity is off just a little bit, it can throw your whole play style, or whatever. Another thing that I would say to do also is, you don't need a really expensive keyboard, but I also wouldn't go for one of those cheap Amazon keyboards that comes with a mouse and mouse pad bundle either. What I would recommend doing is getting a cheap, like $25, 60% keyboard, and getting a good mouse. Don't listen to everybody on YouTube that says lightweight mice are the best. Lightweight mice are pretty decent, but they're really expensive. And honestly, my mouse, y'all saw it in my setup tour, it's pretty heavy, but it's not that bad. And yeah, don't listen to everybody on YouTube. Just a good mouse with side buttons for like $30 is pretty good. And then the mouse pad, I would recommend getting like a full-length mouse pad, full desk-size mouse pad that can fit your keyboard and mouse, because it's just decent, and you have a lot more room to move your mouse around, if you know what I'm saying. It's just easier to use than having to have like a really small mouse pad or whatever. Make sure it fits your desk though. And if you try to play on console with keyboard and mouse, just know there will be some input delay. It shouldn't be that bad, but there will be some input delay. One thing to expect though is if you've played on controller for a long time, you will lose aim assist. I've never really used aim assist even when I was on controller though. It's not that big a deal for me. If it's a deal breaker for you, then don't do it, I guess. But that's one thing. Another thing is you have to be in the right mindset. You have to be in the good mindset to keep on pushing, because you're definitely going to lose a bunch of matches, and your KD is definitely going to drop. But you just have to keep on trying, and every time you fall down, you got to get back up. And also, one thing I would really recommend is turning on confirm edit on release in the Fortnite settings. That's just going to help you out a lot with your edits, being able to edit faster. And like I said, sensitivity is key. You really need the right sensitivity, all that. One thing I would also recommend is when you're aiming with your mouse, instead of just moving your wrist, if you're able to, try to move your entire arm. Cause aiming with your arm movement is better than wrist movement. Actually, it depends on the situation, but mostly arm movement's gonna be better. So yeah, that's a really good tip I have for you. Now, why I think you guys should switch, it would just make you a lot better if you practiced. Be a nice challenge. Yeah, that's probably my best reason, honestly. And it's just really fun, in my opinion. Keyboard and mouse. It can be complicated, and if your keyboard's too small like me, I always hit escape trying to hit Q, but yeah. Now, one thing is, you will have to basically relearn building completely and editing, and probably even aiming. But other than that, it's a really good idea, and I encourage you guys to try it out. I think it'd be fun. And yeah, that's my keyboard and mouse progression tips and why I think you guys should switch.